So the first spooky, creepy, dark deck I have is the Ghost Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. So this artwork is beautiful and it is very kind of chilling in a way. I love the backs with the eye. Each of the card has like a ghostly figure in it, and it is just very haunting. If you like spirits and you're a spirit enthusiast like me, then I love this ghost deck. This I use to kind of channel messages with. It's beautiful. It is quite creepy. Some of the artwork, as you can see, is very spooky. But yeah, like look at this. I think you can just get so many different messages with this deck. Yeah, like it's just a beautiful ghost deck. I think it's the best ghost deck I've seen. I've really connected with it. As you can see, mostly they all have ghostly figures. Very good for those type of messages as well, if you're trying to kind of connect with the spirit world. It is incredible. So the next deck I have is Tarot of Haunted House. Now this is actually one of my favorite tarot decks ever. So connected to this deck, but it's very creepy, and I'll show you why. This is by Lo Scarabeo. So it has this really nice design, you know, where you can kind of do it all reversed with the spooky house. Now this deck has beautiful illustrations, and it kind of goes through like a story in the deck, but it's kind of goes through this haunted house, and there's just different things happening. As you can see, we've got someone being staked. It's very pretty, I'd say, but at the same time, as you can see, like with this kind of voodoo looking doll, it's creepy. It has a creepy element to it as you go through the deck. But as you can see, you have some angels as well, so it brings this kind of lightness to it. But as you can see, we have a Ouija board. But there is a card in here which I always feel quite chilled with, like when I see it. Let me just see if I can find it for you. Look, as you can see, she's being burned at the stake. So this is the card I was looking for. This is the Ace of Swords. So this one can be a bit disturbing, and how it comes out in readings has been very interesting. But yeah, as you can see, why it's just a very spooky, creepy, but beautiful deck. So the next deck I have is called Tarot of Unknown Shadows, and this deck is by Dark Cinevere. So what is creepy about this deck? This is basically a collage of assembling different parts of old photographs from the 19th and early 20th century. So it has a beautiful back end, this beautiful kind of gold. But yeah, the reason why it's quite spooky, because as you can see, they use old photographs, so they're actually using real images here. So it's very kind of, you know, makes you think. It makes you think about the story of the person. There's just a lot of photos in here, which makes me just think about, you know, the life of these people. You know, the fact that they've used collage of real photographs, real people. It just gives me the creeps a little bit, to be honest with you. And again, there's just some cards in here that can be a little bit disturbing in a way. So for instance, the Death card is quite spooky, you know, this Grim Reaper skeleton kind of looking back at this person in the mirror. And the Magician card, I think, is super spooky. I mean, this one, look how creepy this is. Like, I just love it. But yeah, the Magician card in this deck is super spooky. If you can see, you know, this person like has this kind of tree with all these birds just hanging on it, and he has a gold foil in his eyes, so he looks very spooky with these big eyes. And this card, look, he looks like he's looking, like if you tilt the card, sometimes it looks like you can see a pupil, or it looks like he's kind of moving his eye or closing. It's a very chilling card. Like, I always get freaked out when he kind of appears up. So then I have the Dead Weight Apocalyptic Survivor Edition. So this one is obviously Rider-Waite Smith based. As you can see, they've basically changed the images to zombie themed, and I love it because it's just gross, and I love zombies. I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead, and yeah, I just love the fact that they've basically turned them all into zombies. And the best thing about this is the splattered blood on the cards. Look at this. This is no mistake, and I just love how it kind of looks so kind of well done, and how they're all different from each other. The borders, the kind of ripped borders. But as you can see, there's just a lot of blood on these cards. So this definitely is a deck of creepiness. I mean, look at this. That is gross, but at the same time, it's awesome, right? I mean, look at this sun. The sun's always a happy card, and he just looks like a very scary sun. Yeah, this is like, yeah, I just want to start using this more, because I just think you can get some kind of sense of humor out of it as well. So then I have the Horror Tarot. This is quite a new release, and this is by Insight Editions, which was kindly sent to me. But I love the Horror Tarot because it's very much inspired by, you know, movies, illustrations. So as you will see, it is kind of spooky, you know. I've done a deck review of this on my channel if you want to check it out, but it has different creatures, vampires, mummies, all different things. So if you're a horror fanatic, you like horror films, this is really a good deck. It's just very creepy, spooky. I mean, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say other than if you want a creepy, spooky deck. I mean, the Horror Tarot does that. It really does succeed within trying to kind of represent horror at its best. So definitely would recommend this deck. So the next tarot deck I have is the Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels, and artwork is just phenomenal. Like, it is beautiful artwork, but it is quite spooky because it is obviously a vampire deck. So as you can see, each of the images are vampires. So it's a very central deck as well. They're kind of very attractive vampires, but as you can see, there is a lot of blood going on. Yeah, some of them look very willing to eat you, you know. So it's just beautiful, but this definitely falls under the creepy decks, I would say. Wow, I mean, look at that. She is beautiful. But yeah, it does have, this is my favourite, the Lovers. Look at that, is probably like the best Lovers card I've ever seen. Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's creepy, it's spooky, but again, beautiful. So I mean, look at that. He's like this like dark black angel figure hanging over her. Very creepy. So yeah, I definitely would recommend this if you're looking for a vampire deck. So the next tarot deck I have is the Dark Mansion Tarot. I mean, how incredible is this box? She's like this tarot reader in the booth. But yeah, this is by Tarot Studio, and the backs just look like this gem, and they're gilded, but it's very kind of creepy, but cute as well. It's strange. It has this kind of Nightmare Before Christmas type of style. Yeah, I love the illustrations, but as you can see, it does have kind of a very spooky images in here, so it's not going to completely freak you out. Like, you know, there is a darker decks than this, I would say, but at the same time it falls under that kind of horror category, I would say. Yeah, it's quite spooky. I mean, look what she's holding. I mean, it's very cool. I just love it. It also reminds me of like the Corpse Bride in a way, like just the style of the artwork as well. Yeah, I use this deck a lot. It does get a lot of intuitive messages. It does kind of follow the Rider-Waite system, but yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's just so cool. So cool. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one if you're looking for something that's like, you know, it reminds you of kind of, you know, those type of films, but you know, you want it to still be quite kind of spooky. The Dark Mansion Tarot is a must. So my next deck is the Tarot de la Nuit, and this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. Now this is one of my favorite decks ever anyway. If you have booked a reading with me, you'll probably have noticed I've used this deck a lot for client readings. I just love it. I'm so connected to this deck, and the reason it is kind of dark and spooky is because it has a lot of dark colours, and it does have a kind of feel to it where it goes from like fantasy based, kind of like fairy tale inspired as well, but then has a really dark element over it. So it's not like a childish deck. I would say this is very kind of grown up, kind of fairy tales inspired, but as you can see, the coloration is quite dark, and I think it does have kind of a spookiness to it. There's just something about this deck, okay, which I just find really intriguing. And the Lovers card is beautiful. It has like vampires in here as well, so it definitely falls under the kind of dark creepiness kind of feel. Look, he's got like blood dripping from his mouth, so there's definitely like a lot of vampires in here. You know, she's got a stake, and the Three of Swords, as you can see, is very disturbing. Her heart is literally kind of out of her chest, and there's this like possibly a dead bird here, and there's something else in her hand here. It's just, yeah, whoa, kind of whoa for a Three of Swords. And as you see, you've got the Death card. So yeah, this is definitely in my top 10 spooky decks. So the next deck is called the Cute and Creepy Tarot. This is by Misha. So I have to include this in the top 10 because it is literally exactly what it's called. It's cute and creepy at the same time. So as you can see, it has this kind of girly vibe to it, and it's gold gilded, but it really is weird. It's such a creepy, weird deck because all the kind of characters have really bulging big eyes, and there's a lot of there's kind of this element of creatures in the deck as well, so that you'll see kind of a lot of kind of monsters, kind of creatures. So as you can see, you get cards that look really cute like this, and then you get kind of spooky ones like the scorpions. So as you can see, yeah, it's just weird. Like, it's definitely falls under, look, this is just creepy. This is definitely a spooky deck, but it's one of those that because it's kind of girly at the same time, it's not too creepy, you know. But I really do love this deck. We have a vampire here sucking the straw of blood. Oh, I just noticed that this is O+ blood. Funny. So yeah, this is this is amazing, absolutely incredible. But this is definitely a deck I would include as spooky and dark and creepy. And then the last deck I have to show you is the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. The artwork is by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. So this is the backs of the cards. So gorgeous. Very dark. And then they have purple gilded edges. It's a very, very thick deck. But yeah, this is definitely a bit like the cute and creepy deck in a way, because you get these characters that have these really big eyes. But it definitely has this creepy feel to it. This is obviously another type of deck that has a dark feel to it. You know, with all these skulls. But again, it's quite girly at the same time. So it's like that nice mixture of the two. So I do love this deck as well. You also have keywords at the bottom. So this is great as a learner's deck as well. If you want to learn tarot, it just gives a nice keyword. So it helps you if you're learning, or if you're having like a brain freeze moment. But yeah, it's very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. But it's dark. It's dark, definitely darker kind of deck, I would say. So that is my top 10 dark spooky tarot decks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what decks you have, what other creepy decks you think I should buy. And don't forget to subscribe. And I'm sending you so much love and light.